The Family Man was a movie that I had no prior knowledge of whatsoever. I had heard the title, I had seen the poster, but that was really about it. So, when I was planning this out, I wanted to throw myself a couple curveballs to see what would happen. And this movie was actually a very pleasant surprise. It was not perfect, but on the whole, I liked the message that it had. It tells the story of Jack Campbell, played by Nicolas Cage. He is an investment banker and a very successful one. However, at a certain point in time, he was supposed to go on this internship at Berkeley Hathaway and come back to marry the love of his life, played by Tia Leone. However, he never came back and became incredibly successful, but his life was incredibly empty. And after stopping a robbery, someone who it's very ambiguous as to who this person is, whether it's God or the devil or something else. He's played by Don Cheadle, that's all I will say. He basically notices it and presents Jack Campbell the life that he would have had if he would have come back, meaning big house in suburbia, married to Tia Leone, 2 kids, minivan, bowling team, Jeremy Piven is your neighbor, working at your father-in-law's tire store, like pretty much the boring family life. The Family Man, to call back to the title. Also, I should note that this movie was directed by Brett Ratner. He's been alleged of things, and I'm not going to touch on them because that's above my pay grade. I'm just talking about the movie here, so I have touched on it. Now we're moving on. Like I said, this movie was definitely not perfect, but by the end I was like, that was actually quite nice. People kind of regard Nicolas Cage as a walking meme nowadays, and he's kind of earned that status a little bit. However, people forget that when he wants to act, he can really act. The man has won an Oscar for Leaving Las Vegas, for goodness sake. Like, the dude can go. And he was one of the best parts of this movie. He has to play this really out of touch, like, set in his work ways, like no time for any other obligations, like investment banker, like a Gordon Gekko type. And then he has to eventually end up being, well, the Family Man, the exact opposite of that. And I think he pulls it off very well. Tia Leone is also really good here as well. Am I the only one who thinks that, like, Tia Leone is really beautiful? Like, she's in her mid-50s, and she's gorgeous. Like, I can't be the only one who's noticed that, right? Also, there's, like, these little moments that I like here. Like, I like that Nick Cage as the Family Man is on this bowling team, and he's supposedly really good at it. And that his neighbor is Ari Gold from Entourage. It's like, it's so crazy to think about. I love the relationship that has with his daughter in this vision, if you want to call it. She either does or doesn't understand that, like, it's weird, but she's like, "You're not my dad, are you?" And Jack's like, "Nope." And she's like, "Are you an alien?" And he's like, Yeah, I am. She has to coach him through how to make a PB&J sandwich and how to pour, like, the exact amount of Nesquik powder in order to make the Nesquik drink, which is pretty important because if you put in too much, you'll just be drinking the powder itself. Like, the milk is non-existent. You might as well be just drinking, like, milk. But by the end, they have a really great relationship, and it warmed my heart. What can I say? There's definitely some questionable moments where I just had to pull myself out of it and be like, why was that choice made? For example, there's a scene where, to make a long story short, there's a subplot in which Jack is presented the opportunity to have an extramarital affair, and Jeremy Piven is kind of like, are you serious? Like, you're married to Tia Leone. And I was saying to myself the same thing. Like, Nick, have you seen Tia Leone? She's ravishing, dude. It just felt like more drama that almost really didn't need to be there. I was more interested in Jack's moral dilemma of, do I really want to go back to my very fast and very rich life in terms of money, but empty in terms of everything else? Or kind of the thing where it's like, less money, but we've got the pitter-patter of little feet running around. What do you do? I think the movie does a pretty good job on the whole of presenting both the pros and the cons of both lives. It's not like, oh, one's clearly bad while this is clearly good. Like, it doesn't do that. It presents the cons and the pros of both and kind of allows the audience to decide. I thought that was very wise. And at the end of the day, minus some weird moments and some moments that kind of took me out of it, I think this is a pretty underrated Christmas movie. Take the Brett Ratner aspect out of the equation. If you have not seen this movie, I do give a modest recommendation for it. At least for the sense that there's a mini Nick Cage freakout. You'll know when you see it.